malign creatures of legend popular among numerous indigenous tribes in North America, most famously the Navajo. They're believed to be high-level witches with the ability to transform into any animal after breaking a powerful taboo. But what if these evil beings actually existed and were found around the world? Let's explore. If you want more What If videos, check out our biggest What Ifs playlist on the channel. Now get ready, it's time to ask the question, what if skinwalkers were real? As I said, skinwalkers are said to have the ability to turn into any animal. Skinwalkers were generally depicted as a coyote, wolf, fox, or crow, but they are said to be able to take the form of any animal that suits their needs. I touched on the implications of this a bit in my video on what if the Aswang were real. Hopefully that's pronounced slightly better this time, but in this case there is a good deal to expand upon, since the animal transformations would be much more relevant in this case. It should be noted that they can do more than shapeshift. They also have a number of other supernatural powers, able to negatively affect people with a variety of magic spells using a number of techniques. Of course, if these creatures existed, many would want to hunt them down, since they're known to commit foul deeds. Since skinwalkers tend to be all white while in animal form, albino animals would likely be hunted down. However, legend tells that to kill a skinwalker, you need to use white ash, often claiming that you must shoot a skinwalker in the neck with a bullet covered in white ash to kill it for good. It would also be important to watch what you say when in unsecured locations, since there's a chance that there would be a skinwalker listening, in the form of a small animal, even an insect. Of course, given the privacy concerns currently with laptops and smartphones listening to us so much, we're already becoming more used to the idea that someone could be listening. But with skinwalkers, the information wouldn't be used to try to sell us things, it could be used to blackmail us or to destroy our lives, which would be significantly more worrisome. Sadly, as was the case in the Aswang video, the allure of being able to transform into other animals would be great. There's a good chance that many people would want to become a skinwalker. As a big fan of the Animorphs books when I was a kid, it would be extremely tempting for me. However, the only way to turn into a skinwalker is to break a strong cultural taboo, generally through the murder of one's own family. And as annoying as it is when my dad eats peanuts, it isn't quite cause for execution. However, there are a number of people who would go through with this. Heck, sometimes people kill their family even without the reward of supernatural powers. This could have significant effects on the family, since people might be more hesitant to discipline their kids or argue with siblings. Of course, most people wouldn't worry about this, assuming it to be something that happens to other people. But some disturbed people would definitely be tempted. There's even a chance that monstrous people without other family members would have a child just so they could kill it and become a skinwalker. But let's not think about that, it's far too depressing. This would become even more of an issue in teenagers who would likely be taken in by charismatic skinwalker leaders and convinced to kill a family member in order to join their ranks. This would definitely cause some tension and paranoia in the general population and could result in parents being overly cautious about their children's friends. While parents are often overly protective when it comes to their children joining groups like goths or punks, it would be far more understandable if their lives were on the line. As time went on, secret skinwalker societies would spring up, likely hiding outside of civilization, creating their own stories and culture. But this brings up another factor that would be involved here. If skinwalkers had a child, would it too be a skinwalker? It seems likely. And as numbers grew, it's possible that these skinwalkers would no longer be able to hide in the shadows, but might have to join society. This would be especially prevalent as generations went on. While the first generation skinwalkers chose to lead a life in exile, their children would not have made such a choice. Of course, due to their genetics and environment, there's a good chance that the offspring would have similarly brutal personalities. But there's a good chance that some amount of rebellion would be seen, the young wanting to join the humans. We see this in other cults like Scientology, with many members, including family members of the current leader David Miscavige, escaping the church to pursue normal lives. This would likely be common in future generations of skinwalkers who wanted the benefits of being part of society. If a portion of the skinwalkers joined the human population, it would be difficult for both groups. Normal people would be afraid of the skinwalkers, knowing the actions they or their ancestors had taken to become that way. Even the most open-minded people would know that these people could be dangerous. They would of course deserve a chance, since many did not choose the life they were born into, but they would still be very dangerous. At the same time, it wouldn't exactly be a dream for the skinwalkers. There would be a huge culture shock moving from a group of outsiders to the general population, plus the stigma of their heritage would follow them everywhere they went. However, as they began joining society and proving themselves to be useful, it's likely that they would become more accepted. Unfortunately, this acceptance might come at a price. Since their powers would make them so dangerous, the government might wish to be able to keep tabs on the skinwalker populace. This is something that is seen in a good deal of fiction with regards to superpowers. Whether it's mutant registrations seen in the X-Men, or the more general Superhuman Registration Act, people might be inclined to know who these skinwalkers were. This might be deemed deemed a necessary evil, but would be seen as distasteful by many. There's also a good chance that there would be significant restrictions on when and where these people can shapeshift. Of course, in certain circumstances, it would be hugely beneficial to change into an animal. Having a team of gorillas as construction workers would be very useful, and the bird form would be perfect for security thanks to their keen eyesight. But the government would be hesitant to allow people to change whenever they want, in the interest of national security. This would of course be difficult to police, but it would help to prevent some skinwalkers from using their powers for personal gain. But let's be real, many probably still would. And now we return to our question, what if skinwalkers were real? Well, as more and more people transitioned and began having kids, they might have to eventually rejoin society. They would probably be ostracized for some time, but could eventually become productive citizens, particularly if they put their powers to good use rather than for evil. However, their abilities would likely be monitored, with their location known and powers restricted in most cases. Thank you for watching Lifespace.